Hi, everyone. Hope you're doing great today. So, the topic of today's class will be past continuous tense or the past progressive tense. As you may remember, the last class that we have, we were introducing this topic a little bit, but today we're going to have a more complex explanation. Please do not worry if you have some comments, some questions about the information that we're going to be seeing today. We're going to have a time and a space in our WhatsApp group in order to let me know your comments. So don't worry about if you have problems with the material. I'm going to be sending to you the material that we have planned for today's class, the ones that we're going to be using in our exercise, and even this presentation, I'm going to be sending it to you later on. So don't worry about the questions. We're going to solve them. So we're going to start by talking about the uses of past continuous. It is used to describe an interrupted activity which continued for a period in the past, and it is also used to talk about things that happen for a continuous period in the past. So it means that every time that we talk about past progressive, we're going to be focused our attention on the duration of an event during the past. But this event or this action is not going to be a complete action. It means that it will be an action that is ongoing during the past. Then we're going to continue with the uses. It is also used to say that somebody was in the middle of doing something. And here we have the example. He was playing computer games. He was playing computer games. It means that even if the action started in the past, it is in the middle of an ongoing process. I mean, it continued its development during the past period of time. Okay, so the past continuous is also used for two actions or two things that are happening at the same moment. For example, here we have, he was playing computer games while she was watching TV. I have another example. The teacher was giving classes while the students were paying attention. Then, it is also used for things you were in the middle of doing when another thing happened. And here we're going to have another example. He was watching TV when Tom arrived. So it means that this action was interrupted by another action. And here we're going to have a clear explanation about it. It says, we use the past progressive with the simple past to talk about an action that was interrupted by another action. And we use the simple past for interrupting an action. So we use when we introduce the simple past. Remember that we introduce simple past by the use of the word when we are talking about an action that was interrupted. So when we talk about while, the word while, when we introduce that word, is because we are introducing a second action that was happening at the same time that the other actions start. It means both actions were developing by the same time. And here we're going to see the structures of each one of them. As you may remember, we already saw the present continuous tense. So this is pretty much a similar thing with the past. The thing is that one of our main characteristics is the use of the verb to be. But in this case that we are talking about past, it's going to be the verb to be, but in its past form. So continue with the structures. We're going to have the subject or the person, then we're going to need the verb to be in past, then we're going to need the verb in ing form, and then we're going to use the word when. Then the word when is going to be preceded by the interrupted action. So here we have an example. He was running when he fell. I was watching the TV when the phone rang. It means that I was watching the TV when I was interrupted by the phone that rang. So maybe I take the call, but I was interrupted. So continue with while. This we mentioned already that while it's for two actions that happen or they're developed at the same time. So the same. We're gonna need the person or the pronoun. Then we're gonna need the verb to be in past. Then the verb with its ing form. Then the word while, and then we're gonna have the continuous actions. As you remember in the previous one with the word when, we talk about interrupted actions that starts first with the use of past continuous and then continue with simple past. In this case, it's going to be a little bit different because for both actions, we're going to be using past continuous. For example, he was running while his brother was walking. The teacher was giving the class while some of the students were distracted. So it means both actions were happening at the same moment. The action was not interrupted. Both of them happened at the same moment. So then, now we're going to continue by mentioning the structure of the different forms that we have in order to form the sentences. Remember that we have affirmative, positive, it's the same, negative, and questions or interrogative, it's the same. So then, we form the past continuous tense with the helping verb was were, that in this case, it's going to be or verb to be in past. And then the present participle. Every time you hear present participle, it's because they are referring or it is referred the ing form. The ing form is the present participle. So don't confuse with the terms. Both terms are correct. It can be ing form or present participle. And here we're going to have the structure. But before we continue with the structure, I just want to make some, I want to give you an advice about the use of the verb to be in past. Sometimes we tend to confuse the was, were, and the I am, is, are. But it is all about singular and plural pronouns. For example, every time that we talk about singular pronouns, for example, I, and the third person, he, she, and it, we're going to be using was. And every time that we use a plural pronoun, for example, you, we, they, we're going to be using were. Okay? So, we continue with the structure. First, we have the subject or the person. Then we're going to have the verb to be in past, was or were. It's going to be depending on the pronoun that we're going to be using. Then the verb in ing form, and at the end, the complement of the sentence. In this case, we have this example. She was playing in the park. And for example, if we wanted to talk about a plural pronoun, we can say they were playing in the park. It is more or less the structure that we use for the affirmative form. Then, I just selected this. It is going to be the same example, but I just selected in order to let you know, or in order to let you notice the difference between the verb to be, how it is used depending on the pronoun. For example, if I have the pronoun I can say, I was going to the school. I was, because it is a singular pronoun. But what if I talk about a plural pronoun? For example, they were going to the school. You were, plural, it was going, because it is singular. So don't forget about the correct use of the verb to be in past in the present continuous. Then, we're going to have our interrogative form, but before we continue, I just want to remind you that every time that we talk about the interrogative form in any grammar tense, we have two forms of interrogative forms. It's going to be the yes, no questions, and it's going to be the WH questions. So, We form the questions by using the helping verb. The helping verb, in this case, is going to be, again, the was were form of the verb to be in past. Then we're going to need the subject, and then we're going to need the present participle, or as you may know it, the ing form. Then we're going to have the structure. It is needed at the beginning of a yes no question always. First, the auxiliary. In this case, our auxiliary is going to be the verb to be in past, was or were. Then it's going to be used depending on the person that we choose or the pronoun that we choose. So we need verb to be in past, we need then the subject, then we need the verb in ing form, and then the complement of the sentence. And at the end, of the question, we need a question mark. Please do not forget to put the question mark, because otherwise it's gonna seem like just an affirmative statement. Every time that you need to ask a question, it is completely mandatory to include the question mark. So don't forget about it. Then we're going to see the examples for the yes no question interrogative form. Was I walking the dog? Were you eating pizza? Was she combining her hair? Were they doing homework? So as you can see, there's not a lot of information that you can get from a yes no question. That's the reason why they are called yes no questions, because it is all yes or no. But we're going to see the right way to answer yes no questions. So here we go. We're going to have a structure also to answer yes no questions in positive and, of course, in negative form. For example, if we want to make a positive statement or a positive answer, we're going to need yes, the word yes, then we're going to need the person, and then we're going to use was or were. It's going to be depending of what we want to talk about. For example, if I say, was she combing her hair? The answer, if it is possible, would it be, yes, she was. If the question started with was, I have to continue the answer with the same auxiliary, was. Was she combing her hair? Yes, she was. What happened with the negative answers? We're going to need the word no, then we're going to need, again, the person or the pronoun, and then we're going to need the verb to be in past. Again, was she combing her hair? No, she wasn't. What about if the question would be, what are they doing homework? Yes, they were. Or no, they weren't, in case that we talk about a negative answer. So it is not a difficult task. It is just that we have to be like very alert to make we have to be very aware of the difference that we have in the verb to be. So it is not a big problem. Then we're going to continue with the WH questions, and we're going to talk a little about the difference between the yes no questions and the WH questions. As I already mentioned, the yes no questions are going to be questions that are going to be just to confirm some information, maybe, because they don't really lead us to know more about the question itself or to get more information about a person. But for example, in the WH questions, the intention is to get more information or particular information about a person, about a fact, or about anything that you want to ask. For example, we'll read all the WH questions. Just to remind you, some of them we have where, what, when, why, who, and those are going to be the questions that the WH questions are going to let us know a little bit more about something. So, for example, we're going to have the structure. WH questions are going to be necessary. In this case, we're not going to have the auxiliary first because we want to know more. So we're going to have the WH questions. Then we're going to have was or were. That will be the verb to be in past. Then we're going to need the pronoun or the person. Then the verb in ing form or the verb itself. And then the complement, and at the end, again, the question mark. Don't forget about the question mark. So we're going to have some examples. Where was I walking my dog? What kind of pizza were you eating? When was she combing her hair? And why were they doing homework? So, for example, why were they doing homework? We cannot say, yes, we were, or no, we weren't. Because in this case, why is asking us a reason for something. So better we said, why were they doing homework? They were doing homework because they are taking English classes. And for example, what kind of pizza were you eating? It is also it is mandatory to give more information because of the WH question that is using. So, what kind of pizza were you eating? I was eating Hawaiian pizza. So this is going to be the way in which we're going to be providing information, or we're going to be answering the question. Remember, every time that we have a WH question, it means that our answer has to be a little bit longer than in the yes, no questions. So we're going to keep on with, last but not least, the negative form. We form the negative with the use of the verb to be in past, and then the present participle, the particle not. It is to say, it is always used to say no. It is not the first time that we see it. So I think you are already familiar with this idea. And then now we're gonna need the verb in ing form. And then we're gonna see some examples, and we're gonna see the structure. It says, we're gonna be needing the person or the pronoun. Then we're gonna need the verb to be and the particle not. In this case, we can use was not or wasn't or weren't or were not. Then we're gonna need the verb in ing form, and at the end, the complement of the sentence. So we're gonna have some examples. I wasn't sleeping, or I was not sleeping. In case that we want to add a complement, we can say, I wasn't sleeping in my English classes. Or for example, you weren't eating where you were supposed to. For example, I wasn't paying attention to the teacher. Very good. So here I have, again, what I was mentioning you. The examples, I have the same example in negative way, but it is only to let you know the difference in the pronoun and the verb to be. If I use I, the pronoun I, it means that I need was. If I use you, it means I need were. So remember, every time that we have a third person or a singular pronoun, we're going to use was. And every time that we have a plural pronoun, we're going to use were. So don't forget about this information. Then, now that we achieved this point of the presentation, I have good news for you. We're going to have the activities, and do not worry. We're going to see here in the video the activities. I'm going to explain them here in the video or during the video, and then you're going to answer them in our WhatsApp group. So don't worry. We're going to be working in the same way as we have been previously doing. So don't worry. So activity 1, it says make sentences using when, and then you're going to have a list of different words and verbs in order to you to form them. But I'm going to give you the first example. It says Mary cook dinner and likes go out. So we said that every time that we use the word when we use past continuous, it means that an action was interrupted. So it means that the first clause of our sentence is going to be in past continuous. Then the word when, after the word when, we're going to have past simple because the action was interrupted. So it says, Mary was cooking dinner when lights go out. Mary was cooking dinner when lights go out. And you're going to have to do the same with the rest of the sentences. Then, activity number 2. In this activity, we're going to be based on the previous exercise, we're going to be creating 6 new sentences, but in this case, we're not going to use the word when. We're going to be using the word while. Remember that the word while was using for 2 actions that happen at the same moment in a past period of time. So I will give you an example. I was watching TV while my mom was washing the dishes. So you have to create 5 new sentences. But please do not reuse the ones that we already have here. In this case, the activity it's a little bit challenging because in this case, you're going to have to create your own sentences since 0. So it's going to be your work. Don't worry. I know, I trust you can do it. Then, in the activity 3, we're going to have to answer a worksheet. Don't worry if you don't see it clearly, because here in the video I have the example. Do not worry don't feel worried if you cannot see the worksheet. I know that this space is very, very little. I will send it to you. I will send to you the file in our WhatsApp group, and then you're going to have to answer it in your notebook. Then you're going to have to take a picture of your notebook, and then you will send the picture to our WhatsApp group. Then in our WhatsApp group, we're going to have the opportunity to discuss together your answers, and we're going to verify together if they were correct or not. And this is going to be there you go. This is going to be our worksheet. It's going to be, again, a past continuous tense, but we're going to be working with reading and with associating some words and completing blank spaces. So it is something that you are familiar with. And last but not least, the references. The references, are going to be used just to let you know that all the information that I was giving to you, it's completely reliable. So those information, those pieces of information were taken from books, from videos, and all of them are, of course, reliable. So have a nice day. In case that you have any question, any doubt, any comment, do not forget to write it in our WhatsApp group, because I'm gonna be aware of anything that you want to know or to comment or any question or doubt. I'm gonna be completely available for you. So just in case. Thank you so much and have a nice day, guys.